Altenberg in Germany for the fourth final deciding heat of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Championships. Welcome back to icy Altenberg, everybody, in the Osterzgebirge of Saxony, as we get ready, the final 20 sleds preparing to take on the toughest track on the planet for the biggest prize of the season. The World Championships are up for grabs. And after 3 of our 4 heats, Germany's Felix Kaisinger, the youngster, the former double junior world champion, slipped from 2nd place overnight with a loose 3rd heat. He still lies in the top 3 in medal contention, but he is not safe or immune from attack from behind. 2nd place is the overnight leader, Alexander Tretiakov, the 2013 world champion in St. Moritz, laid down a smoker to lead the competition from the 1st heat. The opposition closed after heat 2 and overtook him after heat 3. And that opposition is in the form of the man who wears the red jersey of the world champion, Christopher Groother. He claimed his only World Cup win on this track a couple of seasons back. He claimed the World Championship here last year, and he has dealt best with the cold ice conditions, and he leads by a slender margin, but a lead is a lead, and on this track, it could be enough. 21/100ths of a second on most tracks would be a lifetime. Here, it is 1 mistake. Alexander Tretiakov, Felix Kaisinger, the medalists right now, with 1 run to go. Yevgeny Rukoshwev, though, might have something to say about that 3rd medal. Maybe even last year's bronze medalist, Alexander Gassner, but there will need to be mistakes to give those medals away. The fast 20 rounded up by Seung-gi Jung, and Jung will be the first to go as we go 20 down to 1. Our 32 sliders there completing their 3rd heat, and the fast 20 now take to the ice. Martin Haven with Bree Schaff in the wee small hours of the West Coast. And Bree, this is a really tough track in the best of conditions, and these are the harshest of conditions.
It is. The variables have been multiplied tenfold just because the temperature has dropped tenfold. It is so cold there. I've heard the ice is just like glass. It is nearly impossible to get grip. So everyone is trying to figure out not just how to navigate these corners, but how to set up their sled so that they have a chance to navigate them.
Well, astonishingly, in 3 races so far this World Championships, the reigning champions have all hung on to their title. Despite it being the same track, the conditions make it basically a very different track. Can that happen for the 4th time? Well, Seung-gi Jung will be the first off, chased by Daniel Romanov, Ronald Arderset, and the rest of the field, until we get down to our final 3, Felix Kaisinger, Alexander Tretiakov, and Christopher Groother. And Groother may well have been inspired by the performance of his teammate Tina Hermann, who came from 11th to gold after heat 1. Final run of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Championships in Altenberg. First man off, Seung-gi Jung of Korea, 20th place after 3 heats. Martin Haven and Bree Schaff watching the action with you.
5:03 start. Identical to his last heat. He's got a lot of cleaning up to do here. Trouble in corner 4, and not bad, but still very similar. We're seeing just consistent struggle there from so many athletes, 4 to 5.
3rd World Championship appearance for Jung. He made his debut in Whistler in 2019, raced here in last year's Worlds as well, completed the race in 16th place. But it's been a very short season for the Korean athletes. They weren't even on ice in Europe after Christmas until basically into February. So really trying to find some race form here, and the conditions have not helped. Dips his head at the line, avoids that big impact with the left shoulder on the wall that you'll see so many take. 58.10, and Bree, that is worlds better than his first run down, a 58.45 this afternoon. So that's his 2nd quickest of the competition.
Yes, and similar to his cadence yesterday, a rough first run and then figure it out a bit more on the second run. But that's what we've been seeing all day there. That second pressure of corner 4 wants to toss you early into 5 or on your shoulder, in or out of 5. Very difficult. It heads into a flat course of the track. So keep an eye on that here in the final heat of Men's World Champs.
So Jung in our leader's box, at least temporarily. And next up is Daniel Romanov, 24-year-old, making his World Championship debut. Made his World Cup debut this season as well. Really only in his 3rd season of sliding, and he has been getting a little better with each run. Just slipped away a fraction on his 3rd. Let's see what he can produce.
All right, a 5:02. Pretty consistent starts here, but like his last heat, he's just dropping so many toes, trying to gain his balance and bearings. And again, like the last heat, struggle there into corner 5.
Well, he's doing what he did in every run so far, just basically using his toes as stabilizers, like training wheels on a bicycle, to stop the sled yawing around.
And as a coach, I just want to, I'm sure his coaches hammer this home with him, but what if you put your head down? What if you put your shoulders down and relaxed a bit? You would need so much less toes here to keep balanced on your sled and go straight.
Well, maybe if we're in Sigulda track, he knows better. He might have his head down. Here, I think he needs to see where he's going. 58.15, 500 slower than Jung on that run, but the big gap between them stays alive. He remains 8600s up. Was almost a full second in front at the midway point. And he's got a different style of sliding here. Haven't seen that in the World Cup. He's not been so tippy-toesy, if you like. He's been more of a traditional slider, but here it looks like he's got the minimum control on the sled possible, and then just uses his toe drags to keep him alive, metaphorically as well as literally.
And Martin, that's also, yeah, and that's new track anxiety. So often when you go to a new track as an athlete, you've got your head high, you're trying to anticipate and look at what's coming, and so that is going to come with time.
New track anxiety, and scary new track anxiety at that. 31-year-old Swiss Ronald Alderset now in his final run of this World Championships, his 4th. 25th on his debut in Winterberg 2015, 23rd in Innsbruck, 28th position in Whistler. But this is the first time he has been in the 4th heat of a World Championships. And so that marks his progress here.
Well, Martin, it looks like the grooves have not necessarily been recut or fixed since the first heat. Not a lot of time there with just 30 minutes between heats 3 and 4 here. So continue to keep an eye on that groove, what groove athletes choose, and how well they're able to manage that groove, trying to spit them into the wall going into corner 1.
Started with 7/10 in hand over Romanov, down to 6/10 now, back out to 7/10. Better speed than the slider from the Russian Bobsleigh Federation. Better speed than Jung as well. So Ronald Alderset looking to extend his advantage.
Up until that little skid right there, this is quite a clean run for Alderset.
Well, he is quite an experienced slider these days. 57.82, that's a pretty decent run. That's actually quicker than his first slide, but it's only his 3rd fastest. Both trips down yesterday were better. 17th and 15th fastest in the first 2 heats. 18th fastest. He slipped back a couple of spots in heat 3, but he has made the cut, and that's a major step forward for an athlete.
And I did just notice one single member of the crowd there, Martin, in the finish area. It looks like we do have a mascot in attendance, which I assume counts as a mask.
Well, yes, we have got a couple of mascots there. They probably are wearing masks underneath as well. And it's a fairly odd-looking bubble, but it may be a bubble. So good run from Ronnie Alderset. Holds his position. And who knows what else might come, because Ronnie in 18th was just 200s behind Great Britain's Craig Thompson in 17th. Craig recovering into the top 20 with the 12th fastest run after being 19th and 18th on day one. Has he got a bit more speed here as well?
Oh no. It's tough to recover from taps up top because it's so important to keep your velocity. The name of the game here is corner 1 through 3 being very quiet, and a tap like that already takes off speed when you desperately need to keep it coming out of corner 4.
So still in the green as he comes out of 9, down to the key area of the Kreisel. Better speed than Odyssey. Wow, he was a full kilometre/hour quicker. Yeah. He only had 200s in hand. That's out to nearly half a second, 4600s. Best speed at the bottom as well. Tied with Ronnie Odyssey. So he is going to take over the lead of the race, 57.33. That is comfortably better than anything he's produced in the previous 3 trips. Now,
that is a great run to finish on.
Yeah. 3 or 4 of those would have made a big difference. So again, all about that learning, about the personal bests here. Craig Thompson, he could move up. He could end up being the top Brit because he was only 100th behind his own teammate.
Right, we've got a very tight race within a race here, but well-managed second pressure there of corner 4. And then the cool shot here laying over Kreisel, chasing our leader down, and you can see the difference in the variance in those waves. That is a huge corner. You push that first wave far enough, you can get a big difference there in where it sits for each different athlete.
Matt Weston was the best of the 3 British athletes overnight in 6th place. He crashed off the Kreisel, didn't make the final heat. So that left Craig Thompson, our current leader, and Marcus Wyatt, his teammate, in 16th and 17th. 100th apart from being a dead heat. And you can see Marcus's day 1, 20th in both runs, compared to his day 2. Another top 10 slide here, and he's going to move up too.
Both Marcus and Craig had big improvements here in day 2. Marcus had a 9th place overall run in the first heat. Today's, oh, that was very well done.
And Craig's actually just come down 200s faster than Marcus managed in the first heat. So Marcus, if he keeps on target, could move up some margin as well. 1:11.5, that's a kilometre/hour quicker than his teammate.
Oh no, that was close.
3/10 is the advantage. It was 100th, don't forget. He's building the lead. Now it's starting to come back down towards him. But he will have the lead over Craig Thompson. He will end up as the top British finisher. Ooh. Not a great World Championships, but it could have been worse. They found pace on day 2 and maybe a little bit of control that they couldn't find on day 1. And again, it bears reminding us that Tina Hermann was saying in the corners here, you've pretty much got the same control as normal because the G-forces on the straights, none at all.
It is glass out there. And what we saw here, and I think the difference in that time and why he lost momentum, did you see how the sled dipped down in his nose? His face actually started pointing down. It's a bit better if you can stay parallel through there. So those big, kind of out of control waves through Kreisel are what lost him the momentum that he had gained up top.
Well, Marcus Wyatt is our race leader as we head towards our top 15. 5 sleds down, 15 to go. The final heat of the Men's Skeleton World Championships. 15th after 3 of 4 heats, the Ukraine's Vladislav Heriskevich. And for the first time in women's bobsleigh, we're going to have a representative from the Ukraine as well. So they're starting to build this winter sliding fraternity. Now he has a 0.15 of a second advantage over Marcus Wyatt over the 3 runs. But immediately with that slower start of his, Vladislav is behind.
He's been very consistent here through World Championships. He's had great runs, great lines, but just the start seems to be what's holding him back. And Martin, I know you mentioned that he's experimented with trying to figure out if cutting weight helps him increase that start. It is tough when you're that strong and that bulky, and bent over running is a difficult position.
Best speed so far, 109.3. And just maintains that bullet form at all costs. He knows that he's a big unit. The mass helps, but that's a lot of shoulder to carve through the air. Across the line, 800s back. He slips behind Marcus Wyatt. Never quite got it back. So 57.44, that's his quickest run down this mountain. But he needed it to be a 57.40 or 36 maybe to stay where he was. So he will be no worse than 16th.
That was a tall order, chasing down the starts of Craig Thompson and Marcus Wyatt.
Yeah. Where's his third World Championships? He made his debut in Koenigsegg, 24th place, and he was 14th in Whistler and 14th here last year. So just slipping away a little from a personal best, which definitely would have been his final heat target.
And he handled that exit of Kreisel brilliantly. He was a little bit high on the end, but just like glued to his form.
Austin Florian for the USA after a very short season in Europe, just 3 or 4 weeks since the US team got here after the Christmas New Year break. And Austin, 14th place after a little bit of an up and down race so far. 12th and 9th fastest, then 21st, a near disaster third heat.
Tough first heat, it all started right here. Does he get a handle on it? Much better. Already he's going to be ahead of his pace from the first heat.
Best World Championships was his first in Whistler, of course, a track that he knows better as a North American slider. He'll have grown up there. And his last two here in Altenberg. And last year, 22nd place. So this represents a much better run. 900s back. Has he got enough speed to challenge Marcus Wyatt at the bottom? He stopped the bleeding. The speed's not there. He is going to lose a spot, maybe 2. He does. He drops 3 spots behind Heriskevich and Thompson, as well as leader Marcus Wyatt. And this track is just so difficult, isn't it? That, you know, that there are just mistakes everywhere to be made.
It is, and that's a tough break. The overall run wasn't bad. It looked better than his first run today, but the problem is North Americans don't have any tracks like this to have access to for regular training, and it is so unique here. Not just the conditions, the massive Kreisel with teeth on the end, corner 4 that wants to spit you on your shoulder. Yeah, he handled it well.
Everywhere.
Especially.
Everywhere is a challenge here. He did handle it well, especially after such a short racing season. He'll be disappointed to slip down the order a little, but still an improvement on last year here, and that's the name of the game. Well, there's Richard Bromley with the sled, was just suggesting to me between the heats we're now in for a little entertaining mano a mano between the Olympic champion Sun Bin Young and the greatest World Cup slider of all time, Martin Stucos. They are just 1300s apart, and for very different reasons. Young with only 3 training trips on one day. Martin Stucos did all of training, but still has no handle whatsoever on this track.
And really, Martin, this run will give us an idea of where he might have been in Heat 1 of World Championships. But still, every heat we've seen him have that same difficult exit of corner 4, not unlike many of the other athletes here.
Well, nice run down into the Kreisel, but only the 6th best speed. This is a man who, when he's on top of his game, can win at will no matter who's in the field. 3100s back, 3800s back. They've gone completely the wrong way.
Yeah, he's really losing time here.
And he drops 5 spots with only the 6th best run. Well, it's all been a little bit of a gamble in terms of setup and what the weather is asking of the sled. And here, as it's got a little bit less snowy, but a lot more cloudy, maybe the setup requirements were just away in the other direction from whatever they did between the 2 heats. You can't change the runners, but you can change the setup on them. But Jun had, it seems, even less control than on any of his runs.
Yeah, maybe he just went for it on this last heat, figured nothing to lose, but it is so tough to dial in that setup through the race. He did not have the training here this week, and that just goes to show how difficult this track is and how important those few 6 training runs are to get ready for a race like this.
Yeah, he can put the greatest slider on a track he doesn't know, and he will struggle. And that is going to be the problem with Beijing in 2022. Next up, the great Latvian Martin Stukurs, yellow jersey, marking him out as our World Cup champion this year for the 11th time, a 6-time world champion. This is his 12th Worlds. He's not going to add a 7th title, but can he redeem something out of this?
5:03 start, same as earlier this morning. Oh, and a hit there, 4 to 5. It looked like he was starting to clean things up there this morning, but now potentially changing the setup again. Who knows? Letting it fly here, though.
11th only in the first heat. That was shock enough. 17th in the second heat.
Oh,
and crashes off the Kreisel. Only Matt Weston has come off there worse than Martin Stukurs. That won't be much consolation for Matt Weston. It won't be any for Martin Stukurs. He's not even going to finish in the top 12. How many does he lose? Across the line, he drops 5 places. 3:50.69. A day I just can't remember any 2 days in any season where Martin Stukurs has been as lost as he looks here today and yesterday. It's remarkable. Occasionally, they'll be completely wrong. Very occasionally, once every 3 or 4 seasons, he'll crash out going for the lead. Maybe once every 7 or 8 seasons. But to be off the pace and not able to find the form that he needs, I mean, it's just
it is baffling. I mean, normally
shocking. Yeah. So, to slightly more normal proceedings for Florian Auer. The Austrian starts 22nd, 23rd in a field of 32, but 15th in the first heat, and then 2 11th fastest runs in heats 2 and 3 have brought him up from 15th place to knocking on the door of the top 10. His teammate, Sami Meyer, is in 10th place, overhauled Florian on heat 3. It's
going to be a tight race here within teammates. 5:26 start. They both had identical starts as well on the last heat.
Yeah. And they are
Well
1/10 of a second
well played
apart.
there.
Well, you know, that's the first key stone in putting a good run together, isn't it? And then the exit of 9 here, and that was clean. Stays on the left, down to the Kreisel.
All right, we've got a race.
This is the race within a race. He's 3400s ahead of Marcus Wyatt. Was half a second up, is half a second up. Best speed of all. Marcus Wyatt's time in the leader box is over. And across the line, Florian Auer shoulder charges the wall, which stands up to his brutal assault. 57.28. Wow. So the fastest of all his runs. Well, Florian Auer, Brie, has been getting better with each heat. Teammate Sami Meyer, 9th fastest in the first run, has basically been getting slower.
He's been getting slower, and he's watching his teammate get faster. So now he sees that downtime, and now he knows what he has to beat in order to maintain that lead. But a great run there by Florian Auer. Way to lay it all out there in the last heat of the day.
Right, actually, I want to ask you, because when you are 2 minutes away, although he's got an extra 2 minutes because we've got a commercial pause, but when you're the next slider, are you even watching what goes on? I don't know. He does now, though,
Well,
Bree,
Martin,
in this
in my
commercial
case,
pause.
yes, yeah. When I was sliding, you're keeping an eye on the clock because that helps you understand what the ice is doing. You're looking at start times. I mean, some athletes might prefer not to look at it at all because, of course, you are racing a clock. But inevitably, you do want to see where you stand. You want as much information as possible because there are so many variables in this sport.
There's the Brits, Craig Thompson, Marcus Wyatt. Only 2 of them making it through. Now, they would probably expect it to be done by now, but they reckon that their teammate Matt Weston would still have been in the race. He crashed out there. All the coaches up at the top there watching on the big monitor right outside the start shed. It's all glamour here, isn't it? I knew, it's all glamour everywhere. It's an outdoor sport in deep midwinter. And Florian Auer, that might just have been enough to put him into the top 10. Ivo Ferriani on the right-hand side, the president of the IBSF here presenting out the, presenting out? Is that English even? Presenting the trophies to our women's podium a little earlier, and he will do the same for the men's podium. Like in the women's race, won't have an Austrian athlete on it unless there are massive disqualifications, but got a good race shaping up for this top 10 finish. And as ever, the race between teammates is as eager and anxious as any sibling rivalry.
Indeed, and we likely don't know there's often funding on the line, especially after a world championship. So these are contentious races within the race.
Yeah. Well, now the other thing, of course, is we got a team competition coming up, a mixed team. So 1 male, 1 female skeleton slider from each nation. And if you've only got 1 team spot, then if you're the best athlete, you tend to grab it. 10 down, 10 to go. 4th and final heat of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Championships in Altenberg in Saxony. And we are ready to go with an all-Austrian battle. An Austrian will lead after this slider. Florian Auer's in the leader's box. Teammate Sami Meyer trying to stay in front of him in the top 10. Martin Haven and Bree Schaff watching the action as Meyer tries to turn around what's been a gradual downward curve.
The start is often a good indicator of where an athlete's head is at, and that was his slowest start of the race so far. So potentially a bit intimidated by what he just saw his teammate lay down in front of him. Oh no.
So the gap between them was a 10th. He's 200ths back and he's wiped off speed between corners 4 and 5. Let's see if he can rally. At the moment, he's nearly 2/10ths back, and he does not have the speed of his teammate. Florian Auer set the fastest speeds all the way down, Bree. Now he's matching him, but is it too late?
You could have a perfect run the rest of the way down, but Martin, to make that mistake up top, you kill your velocity, and now you can't make speed where speed didn't exist.
And across the line, Florian Auer is in the top 10. Sami Meyer slips out. For the moment, he lies in 2nd place. So he may be no worse than 11th. There is still the chance that there will be mistakes from athletes ahead of him. And on many tracks that we race on, they wouldn't be big enough to give him any hope of moving up. But on this track, as we have seen from so many, it's so easy to give away 10, 20, 30 hundreds.
He struggled a bit getting some linear steps there. If you watch his foot placement, they're a bit all over before they get in sync in linear. So he's just losing energy in other directions other than forward to propel himself and get that velocity he needs right from the beginning.
Hits the wall right before the timing eye, robs him of a few hundreds. But his first start was a 5:20, his last a 5:33. Now then, what about Mattia Gaspari of Italy, overtaken by his teammate in the last heat? He too is a 10th behind him. The more experienced of the duo, a 5:19 getaway. That's as close to his teammate as he's got so far in the competition. Battle for 8th is on.
He did a wonderful job of being very relaxed there in the top 3 corners and navigating that. That usual hit out of 4 has set him off pace. Now he's going late into each of these labyrinth corners. Once you're late into 5, it's very difficult to get that back. Great exit of 9, though.
1900s ahead of Auer, was out to 2800s, now down to 1200s. He needs a really good bottom part of the track. Auer with the fastest speed. And Auer may pick off another one. He's going to get Mattia Gaspari because that hit out of 14. Ooh. They're going to be behind. He will be behind at the line by 900s. Florian Auer moves up another one. Well, Mattia Gaspari, disappointing for him. But last year was his first major race back after injury since 2017, or the end of the 2018 pre-Olympic season. And Mattia finished here in 26th place in the men's race. So he will finish better than 20 places, well, better than a dozen places ahead of that.
And another great shot of the variance. The realm of possibility in Kreisel there, because it is so long and so tall, and those pressures really hit you all at once. It feels like it's 10 stories. In reality, it's actually only a couple.
Let's see what can happen.
Well, he's talking about tomorrow in that mixed team race. He got a bronze medal with Valentina Margaglio last year. That was a huge result for the Italian sliding fraternity. And this could be as well for Amedeo Bagnis. 10th and 12th on day 1, 6th fastest run in heat 3. What a burner. Has he got another one in his back pocket, though?
5:12 start, fastest start of this race series for him.
That's a really strong start from Amedeo Bagnis. And he has another 10th in hand over Florian Auer as well. So he's got 3 tenths in the bank from the first 3 heats. He's opening up that advantage. Brie looking good so far.
Ooh, I like his line in 9 there. He went shoot to the roof. There's a 1.25 pressure, weird ending pressure on that corner. So many different ways to approach it.
4 tenths up, the gap's coming down. Hassan got the speed of Auer or Meyer. Pinballs from 14 into 15. He's going to have enough. It'll be a top 8 result. And he will lead at the line. He does by a quarter of a second. Boom, I think that was the Italian for. Amedeo Bagnis, 31st here last year. He will be no worse than 8th. I think you can chalk that down as a pretty decent bit of progress.
Great progress, great finish regardless for a World Championships.
Yes. I mean, particularly
so there
for
he goes late into 9. Yep, shoots it to the roof and then drops out. Now, right there on the end of 9, there's a pressure that can sneak back and grab you, but he shot it high enough that he relieved that pressure. It is a gamble, but it paid off in a blazing run here.
Second World Championship, he's only 21 years old. Top 8 off 31st last year, but that was a different track, much easier. Yeah, if Altenberg's ever easy. Well, compared to this year, anytime they come back, they'll be going, oh, this is so much easier than the world. You remember the Worlds in 21? I remember the Worlds in 21. Thomas Ducour's like Brother Martins in his 12th World Championships. He's not been out of the top 10 since 2009. I've beaten that stat to death. 7th place. He was in peril of dropping out of the top 10 overnight. And whatever his brother has not been able to figure out, Thomas has been fumbling a little less in the dark towards the line, but he still gets the hit into 5.
Not a bad exit, so long as you're letting it run a bit there. It's tough to say, you know, everybody has to choose if they want to go more control and a clean line and cut that ice. His start time was 500ths faster than the first heat today.
Yes, it wasn't too far away from what he was producing yesterday. Now, is this a top 5 run or is it a bottom of the top 10 run? So far, yeah, not looking too bad. Across the line, he will lead a 57.42. So Amadeo Bañez got into the leader's box and got straight back out of it one sled later. But Thomas started with a 4400ths advantage over Bañez, only held on to 3600ths of it. And at one stage, it was down to a quarter second. So he held his speed right at the bottom, the quickest part of the track.
He had a big lead, and that run was actually 5th overall so far in this heat. And again, oh, the scorpion foot tap back flexibility display there is getting everyone 4 to 5. And we've seen a few athletes make it through clean, but is that fast?
Yeah. Not many 39-year-olds' backs will survive that, I have to say, having been 39 myself. Relatively recently. Nikita Tregibov of Russia now brings us into the top half dozen. So what can the Olympic medalist produce? Well, Tregibov was the bronze medalist here in a World Cup race 2 years ago, behind Tretikov and Yun. So this is a very different looking kind of a race. And in fact, it's been a different Tregibov since 2018. He's gradually got less and less of what he was. 5:08. Well, that may not even be a top 10 start in this heat. And for Nikita Tregibov, who was once the fastest, that's a bit of a shock.
Oh, and again, very similar line that we've seen out of so many athletes. He does have 3/10ths to work with here, but it is so interesting, Martin, just to watch these tendencies and see what happens after an Olympic medal, where an athlete goes from there, or how much they get in their own head. Could it be equipment? So many variables.
Yeah, no kidding. 11th best speed. The gap was 2700ths at the start. It's 2600ths now. It's down to 18. Thomas Ducours might pick one off. I'm not sure he's got enough to hold on. It's going to be very close. 1100ths at the line. Ooh, he was a 10th slower than Ducours, so he just hangs on his 3-heat advantage. Only just in front. So Nikita Tregibov will chalk up a top 6 result. Last year he was 9th. He turns 26 on Sunday, and you have to wonder, after Beijing, will we see him on ice again?
Oh, yep, just that typical line we've been seeing there all day. And his tendencies, I think that was an 8th place run overall, and we haven't even finished the field yet. So we have seen the last few sliders really struggle to hit that speed that came from earlier athletes in the final heat.
Well, with Nikita Tregibov leading Thomas Ducours and Amadeo Bañez, that is a very unusual top 3. 5 to go. The 5 final sleds, with 2 from the Bobsleigh Federation of Russia and 3 from Germany. So, 5th place after 3 heats, last year's bronze medalist. It is a long, long way, 4400ths from where Alexander Gassner is to the bronze medal. Let's see what happens in the next 10 minutes. A 5:10 getaway equals his first start today. He is sliding well, but maybe just lacking a little of the edge he had last year.
Putting on a tutorial of 4 to 5 there, that was beautiful.
And that is the key, isn't it? If he wants a medal, he has to be perfect, video game perfect.
And so far he is letting it run there in Kreisel. That's a great exit.
And he is knocking the speed out of the park at least a kilometre an hour quicker everywhere down the track. This is his final shout for a medal. A tiny little flop off 15. A big run, though, from Alexander Gassner. Whoa, 56.71. That is his fastest of the competition. Oh, my goodness, Alex. Well, he claimed his first ever World Cup medal in St. Moritz, the birthplace of the sport, in January by 1/100th of a second over Martin Stukurz. He was utterly ecstatic. A week later, went out and claimed gold again in Koenigsee. Can he take a medal?
That exit of 9 was really impressive. Even though he was still carrying pressure from the corner, it stuck and he had a perfect line going into Kreisel. And again, the difference in the waves there, that's letting it fly a little. It's not bad to wave in Kreisel so long as you've timed your steers and timed your exit like he did perfectly.
Under that mask, he is smiling. That is the run. Now, what have the others got? That's it. That is his trump card. He's pulled it out of his sleeve and he's played it. What about the junior world champion, Yevgeny Rukoshwev? 21 years old, second world championship. He finished in 13th place 12 months ago here in Altenberg. Can he take a medal?
Five-flat start. He did have to work a bit there to get into corner 1 for the entry he wanted. All of these little things add up here as we get into the final sleds and the medals.
Second fastest start behind Sun Bin Yun. And good early momentum. 2200s was the lead, down to 15. Not as much speed as Gassner.
Gorgeous run so far, struggled to get a hold of those waves in Kreisel, but he had a good exit, but he is losing time.
In the red, the speed is not what Gassner had the fastest speed at the bottom. Rukoshwev's chance of a medal has just gone. Gassner leads with 3 to go. Oh my goodness. Well, I thought Tina Hermann had produced enough excitement for German fans for one day. Apparently not so. Yevgeny Rukoshwev slips into second spot. Still a top 5 finish guaranteed. He'll be disappointed with that. But in the end, it is an improvement on last year's 13th by a big margin.
A huge improvement and definitely something to take from today, but still, when you've been in that position and you're knocking on the door of a medal, you're going to be nothing but disappointed.
Junior World Champion 2021, a Senior World Championship medal would have been great. It's not out of the question. He is second, but there are 3 to go. Look at the smile on the face of Felix Kaisinger, as ever, pacing around like he's on a hot plate. 4400's his advantage over Alexander Gassner. Second overnight, slipped away to 3rd place.
Interesting. That is his slowest start of the race so far.
Is that his most conservative getaway? Does he realise he's going to have to drive this one in rather than run it home?
He's got nearly a half of a second in the bank right now.
This is going to be very, very tight at the bottom, isn't it? From 51 to 30 hundredths and only the 8th best speed. Gassner could be in the medals.
That's a great exit.
1400s.
These are such long straightaways.
No speed on board. He's in the red. Gassner is going to be in the medals. Unbelievable. Alexander Gassner is going to take at least another bronze medal. Well, it's a mooted celebration because he feels disappointed for his teammate, but you have to hold it together. And day 1 was in a complete reversal of form for Felix Kaisinger. Day 1, 2 great second heats. Day 2, a couple of first heats crept in. And regular fans will know what that means. But for Kaisi, double junior world champion, his time will come. He's too good not to win medals. And he is in second place with 2 to go. He might still complete a German sweep.
And not a bad run there, just didn't have the precision that Gassner put into the track, laid it all on the line. They're nearly identical in their waves. Yeah. You can see Gassner let it rise a little bit more on the end, so he had less pressure on the exit down into corner 11.
And in the end was 4-5, that crossover, the burial ground of yet another set of hopes and dreams. 2 to go. Alexander Tretikov, our leader after the first heat. The fastest starter in Heat 3 with 4.95. He needs that again. He has that again.
He has it, but he just had to drop some big toes there to get the entrance and force that entry into 1.
So good from 4 to 5 yesterday, so average from 4 to 5 today. That's taken away speed. It's not about Gassner, at least not yet. It's about trying to grab the gold back from Grother. The gap is coming down.
He's got such a big margin, and when he nails that exit, race is over. He is going to hold on to this spot. He's got 9/10 to work with, and that was a great exit of Kreisel. Working with the former German coach Dirk has really paid off for this program.
Yeah, it really has. And Alexander Tretikov leads with 1 to go.
Whoa.
So guaranteed at least a bronze for Gassner, at least a silver for Tretikov. And Alex's last medal on this track 2 years ago in the World Cup was a gold. He's had silvers, he's had bronzes. And his World Championship gold medal back in Samoritz in 2013 might yet get repeated. 2013 World Champion, went on to win the Olympic gold in 2014. If he wins the World Championships here, ooh, that could be an interesting little foretaste.
What a shakeup. And he's set a far cry from the early days when he was, just known as the Russian Rocket and winning races in Eagles and on easy tracks. And to see him doing well on tracks like these, what a progression.
And what a progression in 12 months. 8th place last year. The 35-year-old leads with 1 to go. So, what's going on between the ears of Christopher Grother? You very rarely see him show much emotion, but there is just a little smile there. He's ready to go. Does he believe he's got what it takes? Let's find out.
5:08 start. He came into this race as the overwhelming favorite. 3rd in the first heat. This is his chance to lock it all in. He's got 0.2 of a second to work with. That's going to help right there. A good exit of 4.
Well, in this year's World Cup, 7 races, only 1 medal, only 3 top 6 finishes, including that bronze medal. He's not had a season to write home about, not like his teammate Alexander Gassner. But if you're going to win one race, this would be the one. 1/4 second up Brie and the best speed.
That exit locks it in. That skid is not going to hurt him. He's got so much time now. A good 4 and a good Kreisel means that even skidding out of 14 means he locks in the win.
He takes the gold medal. We are now 4 out of 4 champions have defended their World Championship. A consecutive back-to-back golds for Christopher Grother. That is absolutely astonishing. His only World Cup win came here 3 years before his first World Championship win, and he does it again. Jawohl, that's as emotional as you get from Christopher Grother. They asked him in the press conference leading up to this race, if you had some money, would you put it on yourself? He said, I don't have enough money to be a gambling man, but yeah, I might put a couple of euros on me. Well, after the first heat, I don't know, was he the favourite? When you've got Jung and Tretikov, when you've got the Ducos brothers, when you've got his teammates, it's always going to be a tough race. But unbelievably, he took the lead with Heat 3, and in Heat 4, he laid it all to rest. That was a great run from Christopher Grother, the fastest in the final heat, just to underline his victory. So Christopher Groother, 28 years old, is now a two-time world champion. Alexander Chechikov takes the silver. Alexander Gassner, as last year, takes the bronze ahead of teammate Felix Kaisinger, Yevgeny Rukashchev, the junior world champion, and Nikita Tregebov. Thomas Dukors, Amadeo Banias, Florian and Mattia Gaspari all get top 10 finishes ahead of Sammy Meyer and Marcus Wyatt, with Vladislav Heriskevich, Craig Thompson and the rest following on behind. And the biggest shock of all, Martin Dukors and Sun Bin Young not even in contention at any stage. But what a race from Christopher Groother. He was a little nervous in day one. Whatever he did overnight, whatever he thought when he went to bed, however well he slept, he came out here cool, calm and confident, and he took the gold medal away from Alexander Chechikov with both hands. A two-time world champion and the first man to defend a world championship since Martins Dukors. Not many have ever done it. Dukors has done it twice. And that is it from the Skeleton World Championships for the individual golds. Our team's competition is on Saturday morning before we start the monobob and four-man bobsleigh action. From Brishaf, from me, Martin Haven, and from the IBSF TV crew, thank you for being with us. Join us for the rest of the weekend's action. Until then, take care. Bye for now.